Welcome to Global Information Security Society for Professionals of Pakistan.
Good evening, all. I'm welcome you all people on behalf of Global Information Security Society for Professionals of Pakistan. And this is our introduction session for CISSP exam. And today is March 22, 2019. And my name is Muhammad Ahmad. So just for intro, this session is going to be around 1 hour long. And if you face any difficulty or disconnection around after 40 minutes, so do reconnect again this session on the same meeting ID, and you will be able to join again on the same session. And if you have any question during this session, you can just message in the window, and or you can just raise your hand in the Zoom session and unmute it and just ask your question. So firstly, let's have the introduction. And my name is Muhammad Ahmad, and I'm a seasoned professional, and I have done my master's in computer sciences from LUMS. I have done my MBA from IBA Punjab University, and I have also my BS honors in computer sciences. And I have numerous certification and training, including CISSP, CRISC, CISA, CISM, CGEIT, ISMS LA Lead Auditor course, ISO 27001, and Senior Risk Manager, ISO 27005. Other than this, I have ITIL, MCSE, MCSA, CCNA, and around 14 years of experience in my professional life. So I have experience in information security, IT governance. Let's have a chat. Just a minute, because people are saying they are not able to hear me properly. Okay, so I was discussing, this is my introduction, and I have around 14 years of experience in IT and information security, and I have the numerous certification which is available over there, and you can see I have a CISSP, CISA, CISM, CGEIT, and 27001 and 27005, and MCSE, CCNA. So this particular session is all about the intro of the CISSP, and if you are or someone who is actually having interest in CISSP, this is actually a session for them. So CISSP is Certified Information Security Professional, is certification by ISC Secure, and this is the independent body which actually give you the certification on their behalf. So this is very renowned certification in information security, and you can say this is. Let me participant is coming. Okay. So let's have a first question among ourselves, that is this right for me? So the CISSP is IT security professional who are actually having a good understanding in the cybersecurity and hands-on the implementation. So you might think that right now I just want to elaborate the difference between the CISSP and the CISM, so that you have a clear understanding if you should go work with CISSP or CISM. The CISSP is for example, the implementation strategy or the operational perspective. The CISM, which is CISM, is more toward the management. So if you have advanced knowledge or technical skills for design, development, and management of overall organization, security posture of any company, any bank, any industry, then you can go for the CISSP. So CISSP is very much mature certification, and to qualify for the CISSP, just for the intro, you must have at least 5 years of experience. I will share with you more detail about the path toward the CISSP, but you must have at least 5 years of experience in domains of CISSP. So let's see in detail. The first question comes in that why you should go for the CISSP exam, why you should pursue this certification. So if your career ends at CISO, Chief Information Officer, if you want to go for CISO, or if you want to go for the Director of Security, you want IT Director, Security Analyst, Security Consultant, Security Manager, then they typically require a CISSP exam. So mostly in Gulf region, in America, in Australia, the top layer of any organization as a CISO. So when they want to hire a higher person, they acquire a CISSP exam. They require the candidate must have the CISSP certification. So this is the destination of the CISSP candidate, that if you have a CISSP in your hand, then you can go for these designation in your career path. So this is typically more towards the management certification, goes management certification in addition to CISM. Let's have a fast facts about the CISSP certification. This is also available on ISC Secure. And if you want to learn more about the organization who actually do this certification, you can just go to isscsecure.com. So this CISSP exam actually started in 1994. So this certification is DoD, Department of Defense approved, and the exam is available in 8 languages. So it not in Urdu, but English, Russian, Chinese, and different languages. So right now, if you talk about the average salary of the CISSP in America, US, it's around 130K USD per annum. So this is very high-end salary right now in the information security or cybersecurity industry. And currently, this certification is based on CAT, computerized adaptive testing. This is not just like a single, you can say, the static exam, but I will tell you, when you try to go for the exam, the question based on your behavior will changes. So अगर आप एक question को गलत किया जा रहे हैं, करते जा रहे हैं, then suddenly after 15 questions, 60 questions, the exam will stop and the exam will say, sorry, you are failed. So if you are going rapidly with good questions, with right answer, you may go more than 100 questions. So I will share with you how many questions will come in, but that is the fact, that is adaptive testing. So why should you go for the CISSP exam? There are numerous other certifications as well. So there should be some benefits that you should achieve for your career. So these are the certification benefit. First one is the career advancement. As I shared with you, mostly the people have around 130K USD in United States, and even in the people have a very good salary if you have a CISSP exam or certification with you. Even in Pakistan, whenever the people try to hire the people for the, for example, the CISO or the manager information security, they always say that the candidate must have, or the candidate should have a CISSP, CSM, CEIT. So always the preference is the CISSP is there. So career advancement, more job opportunities. The second one is the versatile skills. This is the vendor neutral certification. So whatever you you study during this exam is applicable to majority of the vendors and the different technologies or methodology adopted by the vendors. So this is vendor neutral exam. So for the CISSP exam, you must have the solid foundation of the information and information security. So if you do not have, as I shared with you, the 5 years of experience, 5 saal ka experience, then it will be difficult for you that you understand the concept of these CISSP domains. Higher salaries, mostly people who have the CISSP have higher salary as compared to those who do not have the salaries, who do not have the CISSP certification with them. So the people having the CISSP feel some proud, and they within their society they feel respect. The people endorse the whatever the CISSP person is saying. So they do not go in the I would say the denial part, that you are not saying good or you are not saying that correctly. The people give the respect. The people give the respect to the opinion. So people understand you if you are talking about in terms of the cybersecurity and you have a good standing of the CISSP. So expanded knowledge is another benefit, because this CISSP exam have a broader domain, 8 domains, wider knowledge. So expanded knowledge is the key component whenever you try to achieve the CISSP exam. Another great benefit is a community of the professional. Right now, around more than 100K people are there in the cybersecurity space, and across the globe, the CISSP is there. So ISSQ also provide you the better community for the people who actually want to have the communication or the chat with them. So the community of the professional is there, just like this GISPP. This is also a community, and another benefit that you can get from the CISSP is the stronger skill set. जब आप study करते हैं, you study the CISSP, you get the strong skill set. You study not only one book, you try to study another book, you try to study another notes, you try to find out another material, video content, you try to have some practice exam. So these are all actually give the benefit to you. So that is very important, that these are all some of the benefits of the CISSP certification. Now, let's talk about the CISSP exam, because we also talk about the different domains. If the persons can mute till they have any question, it will be very good, because I am hearing something. Okay. So CISSP exam का overview करते हैं. CISSP exam have 8 domains, and all of the domains are important. You cannot say that this domain is not important, this domain is not important. On the right side, if you talk, let me have a pointer. Okay, so this area on the right side, these have the 8 domains, and these domains have a different percentages, you can see. So these percentages are the number of the question that you can see in your exam. So for example, if you have around 100 question in your CISSP exam, the 15 question, these 15 questions will come from this domain, and we will see which domain this is. This is the security and risk management domain. So 15% question will come from this domain. So if you have 100 question, the 15 question will come over there. The second domain is the asset security, and this contribute 10%. So out of 100, 10 question will come from, estimated question will come from asset security. The third domain is the security architecture and engineering. 13% question will come from this domain. We have another domain which is called communication and network security. So people who are actually having a good communication and the network security skill, they are very comfortable with this domain. So 14% of the question in the exam will come from this domain. And another domain, which is identity and access management domain. So this domain have 13% of the exam worth. So if you talk about that, how many questions will come from this domain? 13 questions will come from this domain. We have another domain, which is called security assessment and testing, 12% weighted. So 12 questions will come from this domain if you have 100 questions. Another domain is security operations, which is 13%. The next domain, this is the security operation. The last domain is a software development. So people who are actually having the software development experience, they feel comfortable in 10% of the CISSP domain. So think about that. These are 8 domains, and if you have a special expertise in particular two domains, minimum 2 domains, then it will be good for you to go for this exam. Because to go for the exam, you must have at least 5 years of experience in at least 2 domains. So if you pass the exam, iska matlab hai ki you have good knowledge, advanced knowledge of technical skills in the information security, and you can effectively design and implement a good cybersecurity program for the people, for the organization. So if you talk about more in this one, let me go in next slide. So this is the CISSP exam overview. So in CISSP exam, you will come across 100 to 150 questions. And I shared with you that this is the adaptive testing. So this is not a compulsory that you will get 150 questions or you will get 100 questions. Any percentage, any number of the question can appear in this one. For example, I might say that a person is getting 110 question, other person is getting 102 question, or another person is might getting 80, 70 question. So there is no boundary. So maximum 150 question can come in the exam. And this is the 3-hour exam, which is CAT based exam. So once the exam is started, you have a 3 hours, no break. So if you want to have a break, the time will continue. So the passing score for this exam is 700 out of 1000, which is a scaled score. And most of the people say that I got 100 question. What will be the percentage of each question? There is no percentage which is disclosed by the ISC square. So a question, single question might have a weightage of 5, or other question might have a weightage of 10. So no one can say that this is what is happening. So this is all up to the ISC square, how they manage the exam and how they rank the exam. So if you have a different language other than the English, and you might have to check the ISC square website to availability of the exam. So few exams are still available on paper based, which is 6-hour exam and with 250 questions. So right now, the exam for Pakistan and Middle East region is CAT based exam, which is up maximum 150 question. So this is the 8 domains which I shared with you. So domain number 1, security risk management. Number 2, asset security. Number 3, security architecture and engineering. Number 4, communication and network security. So UK exam is also CAT based exam. I just got a question. So majority of the geographical CAT based exam. So domain 6 is the security assessment and testing, and number 7 is security operation, and number 8 is security development, software development security. What if you do not have a 5 years of experience with you, can you sit in your exam? The answer is yes. And if you do not have a 5 years of experience, you can still sit in exam, you can still pass the exam, but the title, which is the CISSP, will not be granted unless you have a 5 years of experience. Rather, you will be granted Associate of ISC Secure. So having a less experience will not restrict you in appearing the exam. You can appear in the exam, you can go for the exam, you can pass the exam, but once you file your application for the certification or the title, you must have at least 5 years of experience. Let me go next slide. So what should be the pathway? The pathway is very, very, very unique to every person. So I cannot recommend you any path. So whatever path you will take, it's all depend the habits, how you appear for the exam. But a good practice would be study for the exam. Many self-study resources are available from ISSP Secure, or you can get training. You need to pass the exam. So this will give you the very good foundation. So 3-hour exam, 100 to 150 question, CAT-based exam, which is adaptive exam. So get endorsement. So once you pass the exam, you cannot apply the certification unless you are endorsed by someone else who actually hold a CISSP certification in a good health. So another person with CISSP certification will endorse you that, yes, I know this professional person who's actually going for the certification. Then another requirement, this is not the end of the story. What you have to do, you have to earn the CPE on a regular basis. The last option, which is most of the, sometimes I would say the difficult option, but as a professional, this is not a difficult. So once you become a member of the ISC Secure or the associate of ISC Secure, then for every 3 years, you have to submit around 120 CPs. This is, I have written over there, this is the CPs, 120 CPs. So 120 hours in the cycle of 3 years, you have to submit to the ISC Secure that you are putting the professional advancement in your career. So current fees is $85, but ISC Secure has increased this fees. Now this is $125 per annum. $125 per annum. And for the 3 years, $125 per multiplied by 3. So this is amount you have to pay for the 3-year cycle with 120 CPEs. So this is the, I would say, the total cost of ownership. The CISSP exam will cost you around, I would say, $700. And for the $700, then each year you have to pay $125. You are thinking that you are going to have this certification forever, then $125 per annum will cost you in addition to base price of the CISSP exam. So what should be the course of action if you want to pursue the CISSP exam? Then this is my recommendation. First one is the official ISSP CBK. So the second option is ISC Secure CISSP Study Guide, which is a SIBEC study guide, and mostly people are aware of this one who actually have a experience in the information security, or they know a little bit about the CISSP exam. So the easiest one is this one, the second option, this one. I would let me highlight this one. This one. So if you are new to the CISSP exam, I would say you should study this one, the CIBEC study guide. And you should also go with the CISSP practice, official practice book. Only study will not help you. You have to practice the exam. You have to practice the test. So as much as you can, it will be helpful for you. So at least the CIBEX book and the practice test is your core ingredient. And if you want to go further, then Sean Harris AO all-in-one book is there. The CBK book is there. The reference material always should be the CBK, not the CIBEX, not the Sean Harris, not the CSSP for Dummy or Arik Cord. So the CBK is the core book. So always refer this book if you have any confusion. So this is a little bit overview of the CISSP exam, but when we try to details, let me share with you the each domains that, and I will share some outline of the 8 domains, and we will see that what should you study in order to pass this exam. So let's have a talk. Let's talk about the domain number 1, which is the security and risk management. And this domain, as I shared with you before, will contribute around 15%. So 15% of the exam, the 15 question, 15 sawal will come from this domain. And this is the outline, I would say. So this security and risk management domain covers many disciplines that are necessary for the organization to participate security in holistic manner. Organization to whom you are working actually will develop the enterprise-wide security program, and that program will consist of the technologies, procedures, policies, processes, etc. So if you talk about, I would say, the domain number 1, which is a longer domain, very big domain. So you will come across, I would say, let me count this one figure, around 12 subdomains in the domain number 1. So first one is the concept you understand in this domain 1 is understand and apply the concept of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So you understand the CIA, you apply the security governance principle. So how you manage the overall the security program of the company. You try to align the security function with the business. You try to align with the organization processes, procedure. You define the roles and responsibilities, etc. Then you define the compliance requirement, like contractual requirement, legal requirement, industrial requirement, regulatory requirement, or even privacy requirement like GDPR, like HIPAA, like PH2 information, PCI DSS requirements. So you are going to study in the domain 1. The next section, understanding the legal and regulatory issues. So issue will always come there, like cyber crimes or data breaches over there. So trans-border data flow, for example, the payment card industry or health information, you try to grab those questions in this domain. So then you try to understand the professional ethics of the ISC square. So in 1.5, you try to grab the code of professional ethics of ISC square, and you also try to understand organizational code of ethics. In 1.6, you try to develop, document, and implement the security policies, procedures, standards, guidelines. That is the core ingredient. That is the baseline of your company. You try to understand why this is important and how you can implement these within the company. And the next part is, which is 1.7, identify, analyze, and prioritize the business continuity requirement. So in this section, you try to understand how you can develop a business BCP document or DR document. You try to understand the business impact analysis, and you try to develop a solid foundation for the continuity of the operation, which is the CIA part, availability. That is why you are developing the A section via BCP. The next, I would say 1.8, which is the contribute to and enforce personal security and policy. You try, in this section, you try to figure out, you try to understand how you can have a screening of the candidates or hiring. You try to understand the compliance requirement, privacy requirement, employment agreements. You try to figure out the onboarding and termination processes or requirement. You try to understand vendor or consultant or contractual requirement. So this all contributes 1.8 of the section. In 1.9, you try to understand risk management concept. You try to identify the threats, vulnerabilities, risk assessment, risk response. You try to understand the countermeasure. You try to evaluate the asset valuation. You try to understand the monitoring and measurement requirement. So these are the different things you try to grab under the 1.9 section of the CISSP. The next section is about 1.10, which is the understand and apply the threat modeling concept. In this section, you try to understand the different threat methodologies and the concept, like DREAD model. I would say ISO27005 concept over there. Octave model is there. So you try to understand the different methodologies which are applicable for the security and risk management. In 1.11, you try to apply the risk-based management concept to the supply chain. This is a new concept which is coming in 2018 onward. So you try to associate the risk associated with the hardware, software, services. You try to find out the risk management practices in supply chain. You try to find out the third-party assessment. So these are the minimum requirements you try to apply in the supply chain concept. And the last section is about the establishment and maintenance of the security awareness, education, and training program. So you try to figure out, you try to understand that different methods, different methodologies for the awareness, training, and education. You try to understand the periodic content reviews or program effectiveness, how you can see that this program is effective or not effective. So this domain, which is the security and risk management overview domain, will give you the overall picture of the foundation of the organization security program. So this is the domain number 1. So let's talk about domain number 2, which is the asset security. So asset security domain will give you 10% weightage in the exam. So 10 question, if you have, for example, 100 question in the exam, 10 question will come over there from the asset. So in asset security, you have around 6 subdomains. So you have to identify, figure out assets and information. Or asset is by definition can be anything for the organization. It can include people, partner, equipment, facilities, reputation, etc. It is anything which organization want to protect it. So in this domain, we try to look into the asset security by examining the information lifecycle model. We try to figure out the evaluation and use. So multiple things will come in this one, in this section. So let me have a different people are coming. Okay. So in this domain, actually, we try to figure out the classification of the information. We try to apply the asset classification. Is a highly classified, is a low classified, secret, confidential, public use, we try to understand the US-based classification. So these all classification you have to identify the classification, military or private classification as well. The section number 2, which is the determine and maintain the information and asset ownership. So you cannot protect the information or asset if you do not identify the ownership. So identification of the ownership is important, and the user, owner, business owner, the concept will be over there. Then privacy concept will come here. Then we try to figure out how we can have the appropriate asset retention, and we try to determine the data security controls for our asset, which might have the scoping, tailoring, or data protection method or data retention method as well. So the last section discuss about how you try to handle the asset. So handling requirement of the asset will come in this domain. So this domain is 10%. So third domain is about the security architecture and engineering. So this domain contribute around. So if you have 100 questions, so 13 questions will be from this domain. So this domain actually, which is a little bit big domain, so you try to figure out and try to understand the security engineering concept of the organization systems. You try to figure out the computer architecture. You try to understand how different memories protection methods should be there. So in the 3.1, I would say you try to understand and implement the engineering process, secure design principle. Then you try to understand in 3.2 the fundamental concept of the security model, the kernel user model. These are in section number 2. In this, you also try to understand the security requirement, the memory, how you will protect the memory, how you have a TPM, which is a trusted platform module. So these are the encryption, little bit encryption section. You try to understand this one. In 3.5, you try to assess and mitigate the vulnerabilities of the security design and solution. So in this, you try to understand the client-based model, server-based model, cryptography system. You try to understand the cloud-based system, distributed system, IoTs, industrial control system. So 3.5 section is talk about these multiple domains. Then we talk about the assess and mitigate the vulnerabilities in the web-based system, which is a core component of any organization information asset. Then we focus on assess and mitigate the vulnerabilities in the mobile system. So this section is also there in the security architecture. Then this domain, particular domain, also talk about the embedded system. Like I told you about the IoTs, the embedded devices. So all vulnerabilities we will discuss. Well, then another important aspect is the start of the cryptography. So the cryptography concept will come here or in this domain. So it will talk about the cryptography like life cycle, key management, algorithm selection, PKI infrastructure, digital signature, non-repudiation, integrity, hashing, digital right management. These concepts all fall in 3.9 and the domain number 3. Then another section comes over there, which is 3.10, which is apply security principle to the site and facility design. So physical security or the physical design or the site selection will come over there, like fire extinguisher, the building structure, the different security preferences, all concepts will come over there. Then the last section, which is in conjunction with the 3.10, it talk about the implementer security design control, in which we talk about the server room security, media storage facility, HVAC, which is heat ventilation system. We talk about the environmental issue. We talk about the fire prevention detection system. So these are the different areas actually I would say we are talking about and taking care within this section. And this is all about the domain number 3, in which we are talking about the security architecture and engineering. Now let's talk about the domain number 4. Domain number 4 is about the people who actually know about the communication and network security. So in this domain, we have 14% weightage. The 14% mean 14 question out of 100 you will see from this domain. So three, I would say the main principle come over there. The first one is implement the secure design principle of the network architecture. The basic concept will come is OSI model. So if you know about the OSI TCP/IP model, it will be easy for you. Then we have a protocol like IPsec, L2TP, PPTP, converged protocol. We also look into the software defined network. We try to figure out the wireless networks, how many protocols work for the wireless network. So these are the 4.1 section. Then we talk about 4.2, which is a secure network component. And in this section, the exam of the CISSP says about operation of the hardware, transmission medium, MAC devices, endpoint security, or CDN, which is a content distribution network. So 4.2 section about this section of the network components. The 4.3 section is about the secure communication channel according to the design. So in this section, we talk about the wires, we talk about the multimedia collaboration, we talk about remote access, we talk about data communication and virtualized network. So those people who are actually CCIE, CCNA, CCNP, or have the good command over the network, this section is very helpful for those people. So this is domain number 4. And let's talk about domain number 5. So domain number 5 is about identity and access management. And this domain actually contributes 13% of the exam. So 13 question definitely is going to come from this domain. So in this domain, which is the identity and access management, we have a 5 section. We talk about control of physical and logical access. So all access area will come over there. It can be access to the information system or devices or facility. Then in 5.2 section, which is the managed identification and authentication of the people, devices, and services, we talk about the identity management system or implementation. We talk about multi-factor authentication. We talk about accountability. We talk about session management. We talk about registration and proofing of the identity. We also talk about the federated identity management. So all these concepts will come in 5.2 section. Then we talk about the integrate identity as a third-party service. If you have a cloud-based system, then how this identity management will work. So this comes in 5.3, in which we talk about on-premises, cloud, or federated identity management. Then we have a 5.4 section over there. And this section is about implementation and manage the authorization mechanism. Then this section is particularly about access and the role. We have a multiple access mechanism like role-based access. We have rule-based access. We have mandatory access. We have discretionary access. We have attribute-based access. So these all control mechanism or authorization mechanism comes in 5.4 section of the domain 5. Then we have a 5.5 section, and this section is going to talk about the identity and access provisioning lifecycle, and this talk about access review, system account review, and provisioning and deprovisioning. So all the information or the process related to identity and access management will come over in identity and access management section. So very good domain and very comprehensive domain. Now, let's talk about the 6th domain, which is the security assessment and testing. And this is the domain number 6. And this domain is 12% weightage. So 12 questions will come. So if you see around this cycle, in average, 12% is there. So at least 12 questions from each domain will come over there. So you must ensure that you understand each and every domain very well. So let's talk about this domain and testing. So security assessment and testing domain covers about 6.1 covered about design and validate assessment test and audit strategy, and we talk about internal, external, or third party assessment, audit, or security assessment. Then we talk about 6.2 we talk about the security control testing, and in security control testing we talk about vulnerability assessment, we talk about penetration testing, we talk about log reviews, we talk about code reviews, we talk about misuse case testing and test coverage, interface testing. So these all type of testing will come in 6.2 of the domain number 6. Then we have 6.3, which is the collect security processes, security process data. So in this section, we talk about the account management, we talk about the key performance indicator or key risk indicator. We try to figure out how we need to verify the backup. So all security process related data will come in this domain, in which we try to figure out and verify the data and information. Then we try in 6.4, we try to analyze the output, and we try to generate the multiple reports, come from the logs, come from the collected data, so that we can present it to the management. So this comes in the 6.4 section of the domain number 6. Then last in this domain, 6th domain, we talk about conduct or facilitate the security audits. So just like assessment, we have an audit, and it can be internal, external, or third party audit. So assessment, audits, security control testing will all come in domain number 6, which contributes in CISSP exam. Now let's talk about domain number 7, the second last domain, and this domain is a big domain and cover many topics, and this domain actually covered 13 the exam. So this domain, very big domain. You try to understand the investigation type, like evidence collection, reporting, investigation, forensic. You try to understand these concepts. You try to understand the administrative, criminal, regulatory, or different types of the investigation in 7.2 section. And 7.3 section talk about the logging and monitoring activities. We try to understand the intrusion detection, intrusion prevention system. We try to understand the SIEM. We try to understand multiple things in this one. In 7.4, talk about the securely provisioning resources. We try to understand the asset inventory management, configuration management. So this section talk about this one. In 7.5, it'll talk about the fundamental principle of the security operations. So need to know basis, least privileges, job rotation, separation of duties, privileges accounts, service level agreement. So these all come in this domain. So this is big domain. So that is why I would say you have to put your extra effort in this domain. Then 7.6, it talk about the media management, talk about the software hardware asset management. Then we have a 7.7, very good incident management. We try to understand the incident management, which is I would say detection, response, mitigation, reporting, recovering, remediation, or lesser learned. These all comes in 7.7 section. Then we have a 7.8, which is operate and maintain detective and preventive measures, and we try to understand the sandboxing, firewall, intrusion detection, honeypot, anti-malware, whitelisting, blacklisting. Each concept will comes in 7.8 section. Then we talk about implement and support the patches and vulnerability management. This is 7. And then we have participate in change management process. This is another big area. Then we have 7.11 recovery strategy. Recovery strategy include the DR side, backup storage, recovery side, the hot side, cold side is there. So all concept we are going to study in this section. Then we have 7.12, which talk about the disaster recovery, and disaster recovery process discuss about the DR. So how you respond, how you communicate, how you assess, how you restore, how you give the training or awareness to the people. We study in 7.12 section. Then try to test your disaster recovery plan in 7.13. It can be walkthrough test, simulation-based test, or parallel test. So these concepts we discuss in 7.13. Then another section talk about the business continuity, which is same more or less which we cover in section domain number 1, section 1.7. So these are the interrelated concepts. Then we talk about this in 7.15. We talk about implement and manage the physical security. We talk about the perimeter security or internal security controls. So these are the concepts in 7.15. Then we have a 7.16 section which talk about the personal security or safety. We talk about security while traveling, emergency management, security training and awareness related with the personals or the employees. So this section or this domain is all about the security operation, which is a fundamental part of any organization, information security or cyber security or IT operational stuff. The last part, the last domain of the CISSP exam is the software development security. So if you people have a background from software development, then this domain will help you a lot. So this domain will contribute you 10% of your question which will appear in the CISSP exam. So we have around 5 sections in this domain, and we understand the software development life cycle. We try to understand the maturity models, which is CMMI level. We try to understand the change management, development, waterfall model, agile development. We try to understand these concepts in 8.1. Then we have a 8.2 section, which is identity and apply the security control in development. We try to understand the secure coding practices. We try to understand the configuration management. So these concepts will come in 8 domain. Then we have assessed the effectiveness of the security. So auditing or logging of the changes we talk about in this domain. We talk about the risk analysis or mitigation, which is under the section of the software development. Then we try to understand the impact of the acquired software which actually we acquired from the different company. Then in the last part, we try to define and apply the secure coding practices within our software development. So one thing you must understand that security, if applied in each step of the process, will give you the less cost as compared to if applied at the last moment. So these are the main 8 domains of the CISSP exam. So what will be your role as a CISSP candidate? Your role will be the risk, just like a risk advisor. So every decision will be based on the risk. So you need to understand who is going to be the responsible for the security, you or the higher management. It is always applicable to the management. So you need to understand how much security is enough. A single firewall, multiple firewall, or whatever type of the security control is there, you need to understand. You also need to understand that your role is as a risk management. So every decision, everything should start with the risk. You need to understand that physical security is always first choice. If the person has picked your server, your computer or equipment, none of the security control will be applied unless you don't have the physical security. So layered defense approach is always preferred. So incorporate the security into design process, as just I told you, adding at the later stage. So I had a different uh, pre-assessment question. I will try to give you the opinion because we are running out of time. So this type of question, exam. So in exam, the question, the options are almost good. There is very rare chance that any option is wrong option. The question will be asked as what will be your best answer, what will be your first choice, what will be the best option you have. So for example, if you want to apply in the which of the following is needed for the system accountability, then for the accountability, what should be your option? You need to have some opinion in this regard. So if you talk about this one, you need to understand the concept which is applicable in the CSSP material. So I might say that if you have audit mechanism, you have the, for example, accountability with you. Because if you do not have the logs with you, then how you can say who is accountable? So these are the different question which I try to put in this one. For example, this one, let's talk about the digital signature. So which of the following issue is not addressed? The concept comes over is not addressed by the digital signature. So probably I would say the digital signature don't have the denial of service thing in the properties of the digital signature. So these are the different model of the data integrity, and this is all comes in the CSSP domain. For example, one way of the hash, what hash provide you? Hash provide you integrity of the information of the file. So these type of question will comes in your exam, and if you think you are comfortable with these type of exam, you can just try to study or try to get enrolled in your CSSP training, or try to grab the study material. So just let me go back. So tips to be successful for the exam. So these are the tips which are available. So get familiar with the exam. This is the first option for you. Develop your plan. If you have a good plan, you can study a lot and invest in your study material. Then refresh your knowledge throughout the training. If you have a training, you refresh your knowledge. Then brush up with familiar topics. Then practice. The third option is set the exam date and time. Then I would say revise, study, revise. And before the exam, always have a good sleep. Now, these are the tips to be successful in the exam. So we are moving to the end of the session. That you have a question with you.
Muhammad Ahmad,
Yeah.
सबको unmute करें please. सबको unmute ना करें. Let them raise hands.
Okay. मैंने आप सबको ना म्यूट कर दिया है. If you have any question, which we are going to just start, and just raise your hand. I will just unmute you so that you can you can share the question and I can answer your question. So these are the tips that I think that if you follow, then you can be very successful in your CSSP attempt. So if you want to have a training for the CSSP exam based on the same pattern which I shared with you, I have also published the bootcamp for the CSSP, and there are 2 sessions is coming in this month, and one is the weekday session, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and other one is the full session, which is Saturday, Sunday only, and we will have around 40 hours in this virtual instructor-led training. So if anyone want to have a training for this CISSP exam, they can contact on this email or WhatsApp me or WhatsApp this number. So we can register you for the upcoming CISSP Bootcamp via virtual instructor-led training. This is the virtual instructor-led training. This is over the Zoom, just like we are having this one, but that will also have a video availability, so that we have just like a virtual classroom, and this would be the interactive session. Every person can question the instructor, and the answer will be addressed during the exam. So just to have a summary or the wrap up, we in this case we studied we studied the different domains of the CISSP, which is the 8th domain. We understood the different exam strategies, which might be applicable to everyone or might not be applicable. Then we tried to understand the training strategy. So if you want to have a training, you can have a training, you have a self-study based understanding. Then we also talk about the practice question, the importance of the practice question. So if you have a very good understanding of the CISSP and you do not have a practice of the question, then there are 50-50 chances that you clear the exam or not, because that exam. Okay, so this is all about this session, and I'm very hopeful that you enjoyed this session and you grabbed the basic concept, the basic strategy to appear for the exam and to start preparing for the exam. So this is all about the CISSP, and if you have any question, just raise your hand. I will unmute you and you can ask the question, and I can answer the query raised by you. Any question right now? Or I just unmute all, or the people are not able to understand from. Yeah, physical or on-site training is there, and I also provide the on-site training, but most of the people try to have the virtual instructor-led training so that they can have a training from their convenient location. If you want to have on-site training or on the PIMS training, please contact me. I will reply you soon. The training session which I shared with you is a full session. You have a 40-hour session, and 40-hour session, and you will be able to grab the session.
हेलो जी, गाइस, आपके जो अगर आप मोबाइल पे यूज कर रहे हो जूम को, तो आपके एक्सट्रीम बॉटम राइट पे होगा 3 डॉट्स हैं, इस पे लिखा होगा मोर पे जब आप उसको करते हैं ना क्लिक, तो आपको ऑप्शन मिलती है रेज हैंड। तो मोहम्मद अहमद, जब आप देखेंगे ना रेज हैंड में वहाँ पे चैट्स पे नजर आता है किसने हाथ रेज किया हुआ है,
मैं
उसको आप अनम्यूट कर।
जी वो कर रहा हूँ, जिसका भी है वो अनम्यूट ही कर रहा हूँ।
वो निशान नहीं किया हुआ मेरा ख्याल है किसी ने, उससे उसका सवाल ले लें, फिर अगला सवाल देखते हैं।
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम।
थैंक यू अहमद भाई, सेशन वाज वेरी इंसाइटफुल। जो बेसिकली मेरा क्वेश्चन इसमें यह है कि अल्दो राइट नाउ जो मेरी जॉब है वो इस साइड पे नहीं है, मैं बेसिकली पेन टेस्टिंग साइड पे हूँ इस वक्त। लेकिन जो मैंने ये जो CISSP का जो कोर्स वर्क है ऑलमोस्ट 3 इयर्स पहले कंप्लीट किया था और 2 बार किया था। उसमें जो मेरा एक क्वेश्चन ये है कि बेसिकली जो कोर्स वर्क है वो काफ़ी लेंथी है और मैंने कई देखा कैंडिडेट्स को जो कई सालों से प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं लेकिन वो खुद को नहीं समझते कि उस एग्जाम में अपीयर हो। तो इस बारे में आप क्या सजेस्ट करती हैं कि जो कितना टाइम सफिशिएंट है इस पूरे कोर्स को कंप्लीट करने के लिए और फिर एग्जाम में सक्सेसफुली अपीयर होने के लिए?
इसका आंसर बड़ा सिंपल है, इट्स द स्ट्रेटजी व्हिच यू अडॉप्ट। अगर आप एग्जाम देना है एंड आई वुड से द इफ यू हैव अ गुड अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द ऑल डोमेन्स देन आई वुड से 3 to 4 months is very enough. So स्टडी करें, बुक फॉर एग्जांपल स्टडी करनी है, प्रैक्टिस द एग्जाम। साइबेक्स का ऑफिशियल जो स्टडी बुक आती है उसमें अराउंड 1200 क्वेश्चंस हैं। So if you practice 1200 question and if you get the access of the, for example, the Sean Harris AOI practice question, then you will have around 1200 question again. So अगर आप वो 3000 question की भी practice कर लें, then you will be very comfortable that this type of question will come in the exam. और अगर आप तकरीबन कोई 80% question को कर रहे हैं, पास correctly understand कर रहे हैं और apply कर रहे हैं, then I would say you can just sit in the exam. और इसके अलावा अवेलेबल है, लाइक CQ अवेलेबल है जहाँ पर क्वेश्चन आ रहे होते हैं और वहाँ पर आप कर सकते हैं। So अगर आप गुड है then I would say appear the exam, set the exam, enroll for the exam and just appear in the exam.
Okay, thank you.
ज़ीशान कुरैशी का क्वेश्चन है प्रॉब्लम।
जी मैंने क्वेश्चन
अच्छा सॉरी, ओके।
अच्छा अहमद भाई, एक और मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि जैसा आपने कहा कि टोटल 8 डोमेन्स हैं, तो क्या ऐसा पॉसिबल है कि मैं 8 डोमेन को जो मुझे बोरिंग अपीयर होते हैं उसको मैं स्किप कर लूं और
नहीं,
उसके
नहीं बोरिंग, इसमें सारी चीजें आपको बोरिंग लगे क्योंकि दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द थ्योरेटिकल, पर आपको कोई कमांड नहीं देनी पड़ेगी। बोरिंग लगेगी लेकिन मैंने आपको बताया है, आपने जो बुक पढ़नी है वो शायद शॉन हैरिस की हो, साइबेक्स की हो, सीप की हो, आपने उसको एंड टू एंड पढ़ना है, कोई पेज स्किप नहीं करना। अगर आप समझ कि मुझे कॉन्सेप्ट में मसला आ रहा है तो अनरोल फॉर द ट्रेनिंग और ग्रुप सेशन, ग्रुप स्टडी और ट्रेनिंग जहाँ पर आपके कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर, उसके बाद भी आपको पढ़ना है। ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर भी आपने नहीं रहना, उसके बाद भी आपने पढ़ना है। सो यू हैव टू स्टडी योरसेल्फ एक्चुअली।
बिल्कुल ठीक, थैंक यू।
यावा का क्वेश्चन था कोई, उनको अनम्यूट करें।
मैंने उनको भी अनम्यूट किया हुआ है।
हेलो, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम।
यार मेरा क्वेश्चन है आपसे मोहम्मद भाई, मेरे पास CCNP है, सिस्को स्विचिंग राउटिंग में, तो मेरे पास 5 से 6 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है राउटिंग स्विचिंग में, और सिक्योरिटी में मैंने फोर्टीनेट और हुआवी में काम किया हुआ है सिक्योरिटी। बट नाउ आई एम विलिंग टू गिव द CISSP एग्जाम। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, आई एम इक्विवेलेंट फॉर दिस एग्जाम, और इवन दो इफ आई पास दिस एग्जाम, उन्होंने मुझे सर्टिफिकेशन भी भेजा नहीं।
देखिए मैंने आपको आपका अगर नेटवर्क है तो आप जो डोमेन है ना, डोमेन नेटवर्क्स वाली, वो आपके लिए बड़ी इजी होगी
जी। सही, ठीक।
यू आर वेरी कंफर्टेबल। और अगर आप देखते हैं कि ओवर कंटेंट्स के अंदर मेरे पास 2 डोमेन्स के ऊपर एक्सपर्टीज है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, एग्जाम के अंदर तो आप अपीयर हो सकते हैं। और अगर आप ये एप्लीकेशन के ऊपर भी डिपेंड करता है, आप देखेंगे कि आपका जो कंटेंट है अगर आप फुलफिल करते हैं, यू कैन अप्लाई द फॉर द सर्टिफिकेशन इफ यू पास द एग्जाम, और सर्टिफिकेशन आपकी हो जाती है। लेकिन अगर आप समझते हैं कि मेरे पास 2 से ज्यादा डोमेन और एक्सपीरियंस भी नहीं है, देन विल बी डिफिकल्ट। अदरवाइज 5 years and 2 domain you can certification, you can apply for the certification, मिल जाती है सर्टिफिकेशन।
हाँ, क्योंकि मेरा कंसर्न ये होगा कि अगर मैं पास कर भी लूँ ये CISSP सिक्योरिटी में, क्योंकि मेरा असल में एक्सपीरियंस सिक्योरिटी में है, मैंने फोर्टीनेट में काम किया हुआ है और हवावी डिवाइसेस में भी काम किया, सिस्को में भी किया हुआ है। तो मोस्ट जो मेरे पास सर्टिफिकेशन है वो सिस्को की है। तो मैं ये चाह रहा था कि अगर मैं ये CISSP पास भी कर लूँ तो क्या पता सर्टिफिकेशन ना भेजे, क्योंकि उनकी भी पॉलिसी है, वो आपको
एप्लीकेशन होती है ना, उसको आपने थोड़ा सा आपने एक स्ट्रेटेजिकली उसको बताना होता है कि आपने किन किन डोमेन्स के ऊपर आपने काम किया हुआ है। तो मिल जाती है उसमें। अगर जो ही आप पास करते हैं तो मेरी हेल्प चाहिए होगी तो गिव मी अ कॉल, मुझे व्हाट्सएप पे आ जाइएगा, मुझे मैसेज कर दीजिएगा, आई विल हेल्प यू कि वो किस तरह उसको फुलफिल होती है।
चलो जज़ाकल्लाह खैर, थैंक यू, दैट विल बी
अच्छा सॉरी गाइस, जो लोग प्लीज देखें, अगर आपका माइक वो है अनम्यूटेड है तो प्लीज शोर ना मचाएं, अपने आसपास ना बहुत सा नॉइज आ रहा है, अपने आप को खुद म्यूट कर लें आप प्लीज। तो कुछ लोगों का बहुत ज्यादा नॉइज आ रहा है इसके अंदर। अच्छा दूसरी बात, ये मोहम्मद अहमद जो है ये प्रोफेशनल ट्रेनर है, ये इसको देते हैं एज ए ट्रेनिंग ना, एज ए कॉस्ट उन्होंने बताया। तो उसमें ये है कि मैं उनसे रिक्वेस्ट की थी मैंने कि हमारे मेंबर्स के लिए एक फ्री सेशन कर दें ओवरव्यू के लिए, ताकि लोगों को थोड़ा आइडिया हो जाए कि उसमें होता क्या क्या है CISSP के एग्जाम के अंदर। तो उसके बाद ये है कि अगर आप चाहते हैं मजीद ट्रेनिंग लेना इनसे तो आप उनसे रब्ता कर लें। लेकिन मोहम्मद अहमद मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट कर दूंगा अगर आप हमें कुछ हमारे लोगों को स्पेशल डिस्काउंट दें हमारे मेंबर्स को,
वो
ताकि उनको और आसानी हो जाए उनकी।
मैं आपके साथ चैट कर लेता हूँ, जो भी आप हमारे ग्रुप के मेंबर हैं उनके लिए जो सेशन एक अच्छी आपके पास अगर होता है तो डेफिनेटली गो दिस वन, नो प्रॉब्लम उसके लिए। लेकिन ये मेरा ऑलवेज द ऑप्शन होती है कि गिव बैक टू इंडस्ट्री अ बैक, तो उसी तरह हम लोग जो साइबर सिक्योरिटी प्रोफेशनल है वो उसी के लिए ही काम कर रहे हैं। तो इंशाल्लाह आई विल विद यू एंड वी विल हैव अ गुड सेशन और इस GISSP मेंबर्स के लिए
इंशाल्लाह।
थैंक यू।
एनी फर्दर क्वेश्चन? हाँ जी, एक सवाल किया जी, कैन वी डायरेक्टली गिव द CISSP विदाउट CISM? यस वी कैन गिव, इसका आपस में कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है। CISSP IC स्क्वायर के साथ है, CISA और CISM इज अ डिफरेंट गेम बॉल, तो मिक्स ना कीजिए, आप एग्जाम दे सकते हैं, कोई किसी की डिपेंडेंसी नहीं है। Any other question? I think we are good to go and we can close this session. And thank you for all for joining this session, and thank you Shazad Sahab for this session. And if you have any question even after this session, please let me know. I will be very thankful for you to help you a lot.
अच्छा थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी। इस पे आप ये सेशन रिकॉर्ड हमने कर लिया है तो इसको हम बाद में अपने YouTube पे अपलोड कर देंगे। तो इसके अलावा थैंक यू मोहम्मद अहमद अगेन, आपने बहुत जल्दी शॉर्ट नोटिस पे आपने सारा काम किया और माशाल्लाह हमारे पास 28 तक लोग आए इसके अंदर। तो होपफुली वी विल हैव मोर सेशंस इंशाल्लाह। तो अल्लाह करे आपका जो अपना वो है प्राइवेटली वो भी अच्छा चले और कोशिश में यही है कि जितना हम लोगों को ज्यादा से ज्यादा गाइड कर सकते हैं तो करें। थैंक यू अगेन एवरीबॉडी, और अब सेशन हम खत्म कर देंगे। स्टिल अगर आपका किसी दोस्त को पता है वो चाहता है तो हम उसको YouTube पे डाल देंगे, आप चेक इन 2 or 3 days इट विल बी देयर। ठीक है जी, थैंक्स अगेन एवरीबॉडी, ओके।